Good morning. I am B.R. Nair. Today we will talk on evacuation drill. Evacuation drill means the fire drill or safe escape of occupants from the place of occupancy to the place of safety. I will explain the principles and procedures for the evacuation drill. Purpose, what is the purpose of the drill? How a fire drill is formulated? What are the instructions and training required for the occupants? And what is fire routine order or fire routine details? And how is the frequency of the drill? All these things I will explain. And by the end of the class or by the end of the speech, each audience will be able to understand the principles and procedure of the fire drill, how a fire drill is conducted or how a fire drill is formulated, how you can participate in a fire drill, and finally how you can have a safe escape. The main purpose of conducting a fire drill is to see that the occupants of the building act in a calm and orderly manner. At the time of emergency, everybody will act in a calm and orderly manner. There will be no rapid evacuation, there will be no stress and strain. The people will move out in an orderly manner so that the evacuation is speedy and orderly. And to ensure that the designated carry out their allotted duties, because before fire drill, before conducting a drill, we will allot certain duties to certain people. We'll call them as floor leaders and main coordinator, etc. And each of these official will be designated with different duties concerned with the evacuation process. And the purpose of the drill is to see that or to ensure that the designated carry out their own allotted duties perfectly. To ensure the safety of all concerned, it is to be ensured that all the occupants of the building is safely evacuated, and also to see that all the means of escape routes are utilized in accordance with the predetermined plan. Suppose we are giving a training that 50% of the people should evacuate through one door and the other 50% from the back side should evacuate to the alternate door, and that is to be properly adhered, that everybody will not crowd at the one door and there will not be a rush. Automatically a rush should not be created, and that is also is the purpose of the drill. And finally, to ensure that the evacuation is speedy and orderly. If the time allotted is 1.5 minutes, the entire occupant from the building should evacuate through all the available means of escape routes within the permitted time, and they should assemble peacefully at the place of assembly. Formulating a fire routine. Formulating a fire routine is depending on the type of the building, because the plans formulated for one building may not suit for the other building, or the plan prepared for yesterday may not be suiting for today's purpose, because there may be a lot of changes in the occupancy as well as in the building. So, the type of building and the type of occupancy is to be studied properly. Then existing means of escapes are to be found out, and we have to find out whether it is of inadequate number. Then fire defense. In fire defense, we have to see what are the fire protection arrangements made in the building. Is all of them are proper and properly maintained, is becoming worth during the time of emergency. So, in firefighting equipments, there are two types. One is first aid firefighting equipments, and other is the inbuilt fire protection system. The inbuilt fire protection system and first aid fire protection system are installed in a building for the safety of the building or for the safety of the premises as well as for the safety of the occupants. It is concerned that all the occupants, all the people occupying in the premises should have adequate knowledge in the selection, operation of the firefighting system as well as the basic fire protection system. To identify a fire extinguisher and to operate it in the incipient stage of the fire is of and that knowledge is required. Then only the fire protection system will work or the firefighting operation will work initially. Any fire can be extinguished by using a fire extinguisher in its incipient stage if the operation of the extinguisher is proper and correct. Next is instruction and training. Correct understanding of the procedures. What are the procedures made for evacuation drill? And prompt and effective action of the procedure. Know what to do. You have to know yourself that what is your responsibility, what you have to do, whether you have to guide others, where you have to give any instruction to others, or there is no other work. The only responsibility fixed on you is to get out of the place within the permitted time. Next one is training. Training, we always say that training makes a man perfect. So, the repeated training under various situations. There are instances which I have seen, always the evacuation drill is conducted at 12:30 p.m. in one industry. And I asked them why this is conducted always at 12:30. Then the management told me 1 o'clock is our lunch time. So, up to 12:30 we will work, 12:30 we will conduct the evacuation drill, and by 1 o'clock they will take lunch, and 1:30 they will come back. Like that, every day the same procedure. So, that is not an accepted practice, and that cannot be permitted also. So, we should have repeated practices under varying situations. One day let it be at 10 o'clock, another day it will be at 12 o'clock, one day at midnight. You will see the difference, you will be able to understand the difference. At midnight, all the actions will be delayed, the number of participants will be less. So, the activities will not take place as planned earlier, or the plan and the procedure will be getting upset during odd hours. So, you have to see through repeated actions or repeated training that the fire drill is conducted in the proper way. Effective supervision is required. So, all the drills are to be conducted under the supervision of experienced personnel, so that the don'ts and do's can be easily understood, and what is wrong can be emphasized. The employees can be briefed accordingly. Then fault finding is also an effective measure. So, it is very easy to find fault. To do it in the correct way is problem. Then remedial measures. If a mistake is done by some people, you have to explain them what is the mistake done by them and how it can be rectified and how the remedial measures can be imposed. So, next is fire routine details. What are the fire routine details? So, a fire when detected, each occupant is responsible for alerting the fire alarm. The building may be having a fire protection system in which an inbuilt fire alarm system is provided. So, the fire alarm is to be actuated, and the occupants are to be aware about the sound and signal of the fire alarm. Otherwise, people will think that the bell is for something else also. So, that should not be there. The fire alarm is to be sound occasionally, and all the occupants shall be aware about the sound of the particular fire alarm. Then power is the power supply. Normally, when there is a fire outbreak, the power will be switched off or cut off. So, there should be an alternate power supply, and the emergency lightings are to be fed from emergency lighting system or alternate power supply, and the use of lift is not permitted. Most of the evacuation is done through the staircase and alternate staircases or fire escape routes. A lift is not permitted during the time of emergency, because the current may fail, the lift may stop in between floors, the lift door may not be able to open, the lift man may run off, the lift tunnel may be engulfed with smoke. So, entry of smoke in the lift tunnel, people entering in the lift will be having suffocation, they will be having breathing trouble, or they may have carbon monoxide poisoning. What is carbon monoxide poisoning? In a fireplace, there will be always deficiency of oxygen, and carbon monoxide will be formed. The blood, the hemoglobin in the human blood has got more affinity to carbon monoxide than oxygen. So, when there is the presence of carbon monoxide in the atmosphere, we will unknowingly take more deep breath, and this carbon monoxide we will be inhaling, and it will be mixing with the hemoglobin of the blood, and we will be having a fainting situation, and people will become collapsed, and this process is called as carbon monoxide poisoning. So, avoid lift and control the entry of smoke into our body. So, always close the nose with a cloth or wet cloth or sponge or cotton, and crawl down through the ground or floor, so that smoke will be always at a higher level, and at the ground level you will be getting fresh air. Next is calling fire brigade. When there is an emergency or when there is an outbreak of fire, it is the responsibility of the management to call the fire brigade. So the designated person can call the fire brigade, then evacuation is to be made, and the evacuated people should gather at the place of safety or in the pre-designated assembly point. So assembly point is to be marked in the open yard at the safest place. So those who are coming out from the building shall assemble there, and finally a roll call will be conducted or a head count will be conducted, and if somebody is missing, the responsible persons or the trained personnel should again go back and see if anybody is laying there, or if anybody is hiding there, or if anybody is trapped there, and they are also to be brought out, and see that all the people are brought out of the building in the safest way, and evacuation is made speedy and orderly. Then it is the turn to start firefighting. If possible, fight the fire with the available facilities. If not, call the fire brigade, give them the correct instructions, and join along with them for extinguishment of fire.